What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the chronically charismatic Dr. Disaster. And the Nintendo Switch 2 situation with their raised prices is the story that kinda reminds me of a monster from a horror movie. No matter how many times you shoot this thing, it just doesn't stay down.
Why can't you just die?
When we found out the other day that the tariff situation was kinda dying down, at least for most countries, at least for a while, a lot of people out there figured we would finally find out when pre-orders would start in the US for the Switch 2, and we figured the story would maybe not die off with regards to whether or not the prices were gonna raise for the Switch 2, but at least it would resolve itself for a while. After all, there's no reason to raise prices if there isn't much of a tariff. It seemed like smooth sailing from here on, but like I said, this story is like a monster movie with a creature that just won't die and keeps on coming out of nowhere.
Jesus Christ!
Well, unfortunately, Nintendo decided to raise the prices after all on most of their items. As you can see here, we found out that the Switch 2 pre-orders begin on April 24th in the United States, and the price of the Switch 2 console itself isn't gonna change. But Nintendo is using the excuse of the tariffs as a means to raise the prices on their accessories once again. So, instead of listening to gamers who have been incessantly telling them to drop the prices on the Switch 2, these jackanapes at Nintendo have decided to go the completely opposite direction.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money!
Sure, the tariffs are still ongoing with China, where Nintendo does a lot of their manufacturing, but actually, the bulk of its production is done in other countries, and it would be very easy to sidestep the tariffs for a company like Nintendo, and undoubtedly, they are sidestepping those tariffs. No, I'm very hopeful that at least some people out there will deal with this monster movie villain in the appropriate way and choose not to buy it.
Supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Not in my movie.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and also, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. The first part of the novel that I've written, a dark fantasy story, will be available via audiobook for members only this coming Friday. The book itself will be available to purchase on Amazon in the near future, but in the meantime, if you want to support alternatives to mainstream culture like Nintendo, nickel and diming us at every step, consider supporting this channel instead by becoming a member for as little as $5 per month. In any case, let's dive into Nintendo's decision to raise prices yet again. First, let's look at a statement that was published on Nintendo's website explaining their decision. They said, Nintendo Switch 2 accessories will experience price adjustments from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future depending on market conditions, and once again, I remind you that actually the market conditions have changed very little in the United States unless you're bringing something over from China. A 10% tariff remains in place for everywhere else, and Nintendo is unwilling to eat that. They initially raised their prices on everything well over 10%. A 10% tariff in place wipes out most of their raised prices, but they aren't having it. Let's look at the actual prices though. Here is a list of the final MSRP of their products. As you can see, The console and the console bundle with Mario Kart both remained at their initial price, which reinforces what I was telling you folks the other day, that the console itself is absolutely not where a gaming company like Nintendo makes its money. Often, they even take a loss on their consoles because what they really want is to have you in a position where you are buying their software and accessories, which they make a killing on. Just as a reminder, anytime you buy any software, even from like a third party on Nintendo actually rakes in about 25% of that sale. So if you buy the new Elder Scrolls game, then Bethesda takes 75% of the sale and Nintendo takes 25%. So that is why they want you buying their consoles, and they don't mind taking a little bit of a loss on it. Anyhow, Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza are staying at their original prices, $80 and $70 respectively. Nothing changed there, but the accessories below almost all saw an increase. The Pro Controller is selling for $85 now, but the original price was $80. And back on the original Switch, you could buy a Pro Controller for $70. So this is actually quite a rise in price. The pair of Joy-Cons are now selling for $95, but the original price on those was $90, and most pairs of Joy-Cons could be purchased on the Switch 1 at $65 or $70, so this is a really high price bump. And look at the price below that. Even the freaking strap for the Joy-Cons went up. Now, they want $14 for just a little strap, but before they were charging $13. Absolutely preposterous. The Joy-Con wheel was priced at $20 before, now they are charging $25. That is a price increase of 25%, and it is highway robbery, which a 10% tariff definitely does not explain away. The Switch 2 camera is priced at $55, and the previous price point was $50. The Switch 2 dock set is $120 now, and the prior price was $110. The carrying case and screen protector is $40 now, up from $35, and the all-in-one carrying case is now $85, up from $80, which is a massive ripoff if you ask me. A freaking carrying case is nowhere near worth that. But a Nintendo Switch 2 AC adapter is now $35, up from $30, and lastly, the micro SD card is $60, and that is the one accessory which isn't changing the price, most likely because that is a Samsung product and not actually manufactured by Nintendo. So yeah, just to reiterate, most of the manufacturing done by Nintendo is not in China. According to this article here from the New York Times, the company moved most of its production to Vietnam in order to sidestep the threat of tariffs, but what's ridiculous to me is if you're concerned about tariffs in the US to the point that you're moving production to another country, then why not move production to the country where you fear the tariffs in the first place? And the answer, of course, is because they don't want to pay a competitive wage to the people working in their factories. They set up shop in these countries where they aren't afraid to abuse their own people and make them work for peanuts. I'm not going to go on a rant about how much I hate that practice, which is essentially slave labor, but I could rail on it for hours. I will say this, however, if tariffs end this practice, I'd love it. And I will also say this. Notice how, at least at the moment, Sony and Microsoft have not announced hikes in their prices on their accessories or anything like that. They are eating any tariff costs at this moment. Not that those companies don't deserve their own criticism, they absolutely do. It's just worth pointing out that Nintendo is bound and determined to up the profitability on their products for this generation console, no matter the cost to consumers. We'll see if it pays off for them though. But I'm going to leave it there. For anyone out there who is still thinking of grabbing a Switch 2, does this move the needle for you at all and change your mind? And for everyone else, what do you think about this? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.